0-3 last year, 3-0 this year. So what's the general mood before you head to Edinburgh?
Yeah, it's good. It's a big change from last year, obviously. Notwithstanding the home comforts of the first three, last year we were away for the first three, so that doesn't go unnoticed. Obviously, the crowd for the three games, in particular on Saturday evening, were absolutely incredible. So, this is a new block for us now, a new challenge going away from home. So it's going to test our resilience, it's going to test how well we train, and it's important. Having three home games was good to start and get some momentum, but at the same time, the pressure is on to win your home games. So we've succeeded in doing that, albeit at times leaving points behind us. So there's still plenty to work on, but we can look ahead with some positivity with the big challenges that are coming.
Yeah, resilience is the word really in probably two out of those three games. Glasgow, there was a bit needed on Saturday. There was
100%, yeah.
Where's it coming from? What's led to that? Because resilience maybe wouldn't be a word that Connacht have had said about them previously at times.
Yes, but it was very evident the weekend. I thought for 50, 60 minutes we weren't hitting the standards we needed to hit, and for the last 20 we were, much more like ourselves. I think, look, we're training that. We're being hard on each other in meetings. We're reviewing hard, and that's just building resilience in the group. And there's a lot of accountability from the players as well. They're taking a lot of ownership, and that hopefully breeds an ability to figure things out on the pitch. Big emphasis on our leadership group as well to try and work their way through the storm and be calm about it. So all those pieces are kind of fitting together, but we'll be really tested in the next three games.
When you say reviewing hard or training hard, is that harder than last season, maybe harder than previous seasons in what's expected from everybody, coaches and players?
I'm not sure. I know we have a new coaching ticket. Obviously, Pete now in charge as well, and he's setting standards that he wants to be ingrained in all of us from a coaching point of view and a player point of view, and everybody's bought into it. There'll obviously be tougher times ahead to come to test us, but so far it's went well.
The players had a good run last year. You needed it, 6 out of 7, and then the quarter final. Is there a case that some of the younger players here just expect to win? And I don't mean that as a negative. Their view is, we're going to win this game and we're going to get at it, or we're going to fix whatever is wrong. Is that a mindset that they've got because last season they went on a run of wins? Does that push into it?
I think it certainly helps, and I think more importantly it's the process of leading to those wins. So I think the quality of our training last year from, say, Christmas on definitely led into really, really good performances, and it's been the same this summer as well. Really good pre-season, and we trained well in the weeks leading up to games, which for me is vitally important. It's vitally important that players are individually ready to train well and collectively ready to train well, and like that's a big factor in how you perform the weekend. Like, training poorly, having poor habits, or having poor off-field is going to lead to poor performance at the weekend. But I also think young Irish rugby players coming up now, there is an expectation to win as well. We do have a very good system here. We do have guys coming through winning trophies and putting on green jerseys early, putting on provincial jerseys early, and being tested at high levels when they're coming through the pathway. And then that breeds what we are in Irish rugby. We want to win, we want to progress, and it's really exciting to have that calibre of player coming through and that attitude coming through as well.
What does train well mean to you? What are you looking for? How would you define that, or training badly?
I think accuracy is very, very important. Accuracy in how you attack, how you defend, taking on messages very, very clearly and quickly from our team meetings, and implementing them outside, and then training at a pace above the game, above what they're used to in a game sense, so that they're being really stressed. They're being asked to make multiple decisions. There is going to be mistake and error, but you have to be comfortable with that as coaches as well. And if it's a skill error, that's what you're there as a coach to help the player through. If it's a detail error, that's very much on the player to get himself right. And then, we don't want to see any work rate errors. We should never be caught for work rate. So we're constantly have our eyes out for those kind of three things. And the boys have bought into it hugely.
Connie, I just want to ask you something a bit technical. It's to do with the guys coming off the bench.
Yeah.
How do you have to train them for match day in a slightly different way than your starting props? And if you're seeing something that a referee's interpreting that you weren't expecting, How do you get the message across to the guys? Because there seems sometimes you would expect the starting props to go well and then to be a drop off in with the replacements, but certainly this season there's absolutely no drop off no matter who's come on.
Yeah, look, I think we have a series of young props here and a mix of experience as well, and like I think that we train our group as if they all are going to start the game effectively. So they'll basically, the starting front row to come on, they'll get pretty similar reps through the week. They'll review together, they'll preview together. So we try and get them into their groups very early on in the week, that they're building those kind of relationships. And then, like any information on the field that I see or the guys are feeling, we'll feed that back to the bench as well. You know, we'll have good conversations at half time. We'll look at a bit of video if we need to tweak or change anything as well, so that we're constantly talking. There's constant communication around what's going on, and everybody's involved in the plan. So like I'll throw out discussion around what I feel the plan should be, but you know, all our props will have input into that based on, you know, what's coming against us from a technical point of view, individually as props, but also collectively. So, you know, they have to do their work early on in the week. For me, it's very, very important. And even if you're not involved in the 23, you have to contribute to what we're doing at scrum time. It's non-negotiable.
And there's been a lot of talk since the World Cup. Seems to be becoming a lot of there's too much scrum. It's got disproportionately too important. As someone whose speciality is the scrum, are you worried that there may be a move towards maybe not neutralising, but certainly reducing the impact of scrummaging? But it's been part of the game since day one. So are you worried about where you see overall in the greater context of the scrum is going?
Yeah, like I've heard those conversations. Like I don't think it can't. You know, otherwise we play a rugby league. I mean, rugby union's a game of contests. You know, scrum is a contest, line-out's a contest, breakdown's a contest, and that's what makes our game. That's what makes our game unique. And I don't think it'll ever be negated. You know, maybe they'll find ways of maybe speeding it up, etc. But I don't think it'll ever be negated in terms of its importance. It's so unique to the game, so unique in world sport that, you know, it'd be very silly for anybody to try and remove it.
Just to look ahead, Colm, just to South Africa, and I suppose you're going to be meeting two South African props probably next weekend as well. But we saw in the World Cup just how forward orientated their game is. What have you had to do to adapt to that, and what have you learned really from playing those South African teams in the last couple of years, forward way?
Yeah, first and foremost, like, it's the land of physicality, you know, in everything you do. It's, you know you're going to be going down there into a war, into a battle, but I think you have to embrace that. And one thing I'd say about going down there, if you go off on your own individually, you know, we're not the same size of men. We don't have the same kind of genetic makeup. So for us, the collective is always going to be the bigger going down there. You know, how we work for each other, how we connect with each other. You know, how low we are at contact and things like that. You know, there might be a little point of difference we'd have there, because, you know, they love their physicality. You know, if you look at South Africa, even for the World Cup, leading into the World Cup, how they progressed their game. You know, they played a wider game, and then, you know, as we got into semi-final, final, they were able to come back to set piece and kicking. You know, it was very intelligent in terms of how they built up to the World Cup. You know, that they had the full court press then as well. So, like, for us, when you look at that, it's all about the collective. It's all about the collective. We have to, you know, we have to back each other up. We know you're going to be at tough times, and I just don't think you can be outworked by them. If you're outworked by them as well as their physicality, you're going to be under pressure. You know?
Are you talking about like a ball carrier not being supported?
Correct, everything.
He's going to get killed in that.
Absolutely everything. You know, like, support is everything. You know, you need bodies around the ball in attack, bodies around the ball in defence. You need to be connected defensively. You need to be connected in your maul, your line out, your scrum. You know, it's.
So that then surely makes teams up here stronger when they're playing each other as well. Because a lot of them talk, you know, we've learned from them, but without specifying it. And
yeah, 100%. But even the brilliance of touring down there, we're going down there for 2 weeks, and how we connect as a group for 2 weeks on and off the pitch. I mean, it's fantastic. And, like, you know, I've been to the 4 stadiums down there now. And, like, the history down there is incredible. You know, the history, the '95 World Cup. You know, look at Loftus and the Lions tour. It's brilliant to be involved in these, and it's so exciting. And it has brought the URC on. You know, and you learn so much about yourself in those environments. And them coming up here as well. It's brilliant for supporters to see that different standard of rugby as well. So, you know, it's challenged us to be better, and I think it's been brilliant for the tournament.
are the players with that history, or do you have to fill in a few of the gaps for them.
You might. I love looking back in it. You know, the Living with Lions '97, etc. The '95 World Cup. You know, when you're in those stadiums in Johannesburg and Pretoria, it's fantastic. And my own old man toured there in 1980, so he would have talked about it as I grew up as well. So when I go back to these places, it's pretty special. You know.
Yeah. The other thing, a couple of weeks ago, Colm Ford was in with us, and it's like everything else. He back going into a scrum, we all get a good laugh. But he mentioned you actually do work on it. And
yeah.
What do you do? Is it mainly the centres, or do any of the wingers think they're big enough? Or
Yeah, generally.
how do you train somebody that they don't get injured in something like that?
Yeah, generally would be the centres. Well, first of all, like it's a conversation, obviously, first and foremost. Then it's a bit of video just to show him, and then it's show him technically, and then we just have to get him in and get him reps. You know, we have to get him in and get him reps. So like it's a huge string to the bow for them as well. You know that he can come in and not alone exist in there, but add value to our scrum. Like when we won that penalty against Glasgow here, Cahill was at 8. So, you know, he's, you know, on our 5 metre line. So he's not alone just being in there, but he's adding his weight and his value, which is what you want from him. So, you know, it is about training, and then he'll have conversations with the other back rows as well, because he's interested. And you have a guy like Bundy who actually loves it as well, you know, and they can learn to love it.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant thing to have, because like, look at the way the game is. A high tackle or a wrong slip, and you've got a card, and so it's very important.
The back rows are going to be more susceptible to that.
100%.
Than anyone else.
100%. The game. That's the way the game is. You know, it can take one small change in direction. You've got going to bin for 10 minutes or off the field. So, you know, players have to become more and more adaptable.
Have you had to tell any of them just stay out of it? You're not big enough for that?
Not yet. It's funny, they don't all be running over to it. Yeah.
Let's look at it, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Just one for me. The average weight of the pack that you've been playing against up to now, and I assume Edinburgh are going to be the same as South Africans, is about 10 to 15 kilos heavier. How do you train for that? How do you train our pack to be able to take on a pack that much bigger if we don't have that size?
Yeah, like there are certain areas to focus on, but like we have tools in our army that we feel we have to be able to always hit to be able to negate that. And as I said, like we can't individually attack or anything like that. We have to be very collective and cohesive in what we do. There's also a mindset piece to it as well. There's technical elements, 100%, but there is mindset. And like for me, you have to love scrummaging. You have to want to scrummage, and you have to love it. And if you have that base mark of it, then anything is possible. I feel, you know, anything is absolutely possible. But and then it's just a consistent messages throughout the week. You know, very simple, because we want to be physical and aggressive in there. And knock what we want to do, but like it's the base mark of loving it, and then just having every day just hitting it with the props, whether it's individually or collectively, that we can build it, that, you know, there's opportunities there for us, but it's that collective culture is very, very important. I would even think more than anything technically, you know, more than anything technically, they have to love it, and if they do, we've got something you can build.
Perfect, thank you.